All right, Mr. Jake Myers, you are running for County Council District 2 seat. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been here in Clinton County?
I was born in Clinton County. I was born in Clinton County Hospital in 1975.
And what is it that you do for a living?
I work for the Frankfort Police Department.
Where'd you go to school?
Frankfort High School, and then I went to Vincennes University and graduated from there in 1997.
Okay. And why did you get into politics?
Well, I don't like to look at it as politics. I like to I like to look at it as serving county government. I would say that I was pretty much raised into it, I guess you could say. My grandfather served as a county auditor from 1970, served 2 terms, serving in 1978, serving in 78. So about 3 years old, I was kind of just thrust into it, and I don't know, just to see the positive impact that it had on his life and the impact that he had on other people, just really kind of encouraged me to continue to do something like that.
Got it. Now, with this race in particular, your opponent is Steve Frey, and he's been on the county council 20 years now.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask why you think voters should pick you instead of giving Frey a 6th term.
Well, I'm not going to say that Steve is not doing a good job. He's obviously done a sufficient job, or he wouldn't be sitting on the council for 20 years. I believe, after 20 years, some people may grow a little stagnant, may grow a little bit, kind of complacent in their job. And I think that having a new approach come in, younger eyes, younger ideas, is beneficial. I mean, changing things up every now and then is good.
So how has your experience on the city council demonstrated the opposite of the stagnancy and complacency that you see in Frey's performance on the county council?
Well, I think with me serving on the city council, obviously gives me the experience to say that I do know what I'm doing a little bit. But I can say that from the very first meeting that I served on the city council, it showed that I wasn't a follower. I do vote on my own. I don't vote just simply because it's a popular decision to do it. I do my homework. I read into things. I study the things that are coming up, the issues that are coming up. So I can say that with my experience on the city council, it shows that I'm not one person that's going to sit there and just vote along party lines. I totally believe in the whole process of choice, having choices.
So what happened in that first meeting on the Frankfort City Council?
Well, I think it's when we voted for President Pro Tem on the council, and it was a split vote immediately. So it wasn't one of those that's, it was a general thing that typically the senior person on the city council would, serve as the President Pro Tem. And a nomination was made for somebody else, and I seconded the nomination. I believe that, just because, you've served on there for so long doesn't necessarily mean you're the best choice.
Fair enough. Now, in your role on the Frankfort City Council, you are ineligible to run again, correct?
That's correct.
And that's due to new regulations from the Indiana State Legislature?
The legislature passed a law that would deem me as a conflict of interest, since I am a city employee and then serving on the city's legislative body.
Got it. And would you have run for a county office were you not booted off of the city council?
I would have finished my term with the city,
Okay.
yes. And probably eventually down the road, I probably would have thrown my hat in on a county race too.
Okay. Now you work 3rd shift, correct?
Yes.
And you have a family, so how would you balance your schedule if you're elected to the county council?
Well, much like I balance it right now, county meetings are in the mornings, and typically that would be the time that I would go to sleep. But I've been able to adjust my schedule to be able to stay up and attend some of those meetings in the past. So and my schedule probably will change come July. With just some changes that are going on at work. There's a good possibility if it doesn't change, I'll stay right where I'm at, and I don't foresee it to be a problem for me to be able to put forward a great amount of effort into the county.
With your schedule the way it is, have you had difficulty following all the recent developments with the county's budgeting situation?
I am not detailedly, I don't have the details of their budget problems right now, but I vaguely know what's going on.
Got it. Are you familiar with the order from the state to reduce the 2014 budget by $710,000?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you think that that could have been avoided?
You know, like I said, you know, my focus and concentration the past year has been on the city and making sure that our budget process and budget have been within, you know, the state's guidelines. So to say that I have great, you know, knowledge of the county's process right now, I don't. But like I said, you know, in the 2 years that I've been on the city council, I've been able to, you know, catch on pretty quick. So I wouldn't foresee that to be a problem for me to be able to catch on what's going on with the county.
What homework would you have to do to change your focus from the city to the county?
I don't think I'd really have to do a lot. You know, it's pretty much the same as far as, you know, types of funds, the budgets, you know, individual department budgets, you know, the tax rolls, you know, when it comes to talking about, you know, where you can move money from what fund to this fund, you know, I would like to see, you know, explore the possibility of maybe pulling money out of other funds to, you know, maybe lighten the load on the general fund.
So speaking specifically to those individual department budgets, I want to ask about your mother, Dana Myers,
Okay.
who is currently unopposed in her bid for re-election to be Clinton County Assessor,
Mm-hmm.
as well as your father, Kevin Myers, being County Highway Superintendent. As a member of the council, you'd have some leverage in determining appropriations to each of their departments. Do you see that as a conflict of interest?
I don't see that as a conflict of interest because I'm representing constituents, I'm not representing my parents. My mother is an elected official herself, so outside of her budget, you know, I would have no say-so or involvement with her. And my father is appointed by the Board of Commissioners. So again, you know, outside of utilizing, you know, my authority on his budget, I don't see any issues. Now, each one would directly come to the council and specifically ask for a raise just for themselves. Yeah, that would obviously be a conflict. I would excuse myself from any involvement with that, but neither one of them would do that.
Got it. And the day-to-day operations.
And the day-to-day operations, you know, the thing is, you're budgeting for a department. You're not budgeting for one individual person.
Switching gears a little bit here, I don't think there's any secret that there's been conflict between the council and the Board of Commissioners recently.
Yes.
How do you think that conflict should be resolved?
I just think that, you know, some people just need to take a step back and take a deep breath. You know, I think a lot of people that are serving right now, and I don't want to point the finger at any one person. You know, just generally speaking, that everybody's very passionate about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that if everybody would just take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, "Listen, let's get together under cooler heads, you know, and talk this out. Maybe we can come to, you know, a better agreement on some of these things." I'm a person, I don't like conflict, you know, and that's kind of doesn't go well with, you know, maybe saying that I'm a police officer that I don't like conflict, but I don't back down from conflict, but nonetheless I don't like it, and I do everything I can to avoid it. And in my position as basically a peacemaker with the police department, I believe that I can foster some type of cooperation and teamwork with the commissioners as a councilman too.
So if you don't like conflict, what do you do when confronted with an idea or a proposal with which you disagree?
Well, you know, we're not going to agree on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everybody's going to agree on everything, and sometimes you just got to agree to disagree. And, you know, if it's going to be, you know, like the most recent parking issues with downtown, you know, we've had conflict with commissioners over that, and the commissioners have pulled out of an interlocal agreement and just opened up the inside of the square for unlimited parking. At that point, you know, I was thinking, okay, maybe instead of a whole board sitting down together with one or two commissioners, let's get one of our people from our council to go talk to them. And that way you don't have the emotion, you're not in the public meetings where everybody's, you know, watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, you know, there's other approaches to take to avoid conflict and to resolve it.
So are you the city council member who proposed sending a city council person to speak with the
I think it
commissioners?
was a collective agreement on the whole council to say, you know, why don't we just go ahead and send somebody over there to talk to him, and Wanda Mitchell volunteered to do that.
Got it. Specifically back to the council versus commissioners
Mm-hmm.
conflict, are you saying that the primary cause of that conflict is hot-headedness?
No, I don't. I think everybody's got you know, pretty calm heads. I think they're just very passionate about what they're doing. To me, you know, when you say hot-headedness, is probably an uncontrollable type of, you know,
Okay.
emotion. I would say that they're very compassionate over what they're doing.
Got it. Now, I want to give you the opportunity, if there's anything else that you think the people of Clinton County should know going into this election about how the local government works, or what obstacles lie ahead, I would love to hear what ideas you have.
Well, like I said, I have a lot to learn still, even as a city councilman. It's a learning process every day. So to jump out of there midterm, I really thought long and hard about that, and the last thing that I wanted to do was just leave an empty seat after, the constituents put me in there in the first place. But this was an opportunity for me to be able to continue to serve, and unfortunately, it would have to be leaving my seat on the city 1 year early. And I think at the same rate, I can sit there at a county council meeting and learn their process and the way that they do things. I have sat through several council meetings on the county level and believe that I can catch on pretty quick. Like I said, I work with Scott Shoemaker, and Scott sits on the county council, so I'm sure I can get some good advice from him. And I'm very familiar with Council President Alan Dunn, and probably would be able to sit down with him and get caught up pretty quick too. So as far as the county government goes, I'm looking forward to this opportunity, and for anybody that has any questions for me, to feel free to give me a call. My number is published in the Frankfort Times. I'll go ahead and let them know that it's 765-654-4079, and that is my home number. And if I don't answer, leave a message. I will call back. So.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know we've covered a lot of ground here, so we look forward to hearing more about this and other issues in the future with the forums coming up in April and then the primary May 6th.
May 6th.
Thanks
It's going to come up quick.
It sure is. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Myers.
Thank you.